Hi guys, it's Kriya's Times GFI again, and today we're going to be talking about scammers and how to avoid getting scammed because a lot of people are doing the worst. They're doing a lot of stuff that you wouldn't imagine happening to you. So we want to spread awareness and make sure that everyone's aware. Here is Jackie.
Hector.
Yvonne.
Ralphie.
Ruben. Man, this is good information that we're going to provide, right? So what happens is right now we're in a time where people need money, and you're catching people on the ring taking these FedEx packages, UPS packages, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's the smarter thieves that start getting creative and start going into properties, either squatting or whatever. So we're going to cover all that. But please, so you all know, this podcast is to educate the public and avoid them being scammed, not to educate the thieves to show how to scam. Anything here that comes out of this is to educate you guys, and so that you guys are very careful out there. And if you guys ever have any questions or run into anything, you can reach out to us.
So yesterday, we had one of our agents who thought that she got an email from escrow saying that the original offer that was accepted, they fell out of escrow, and her buyer was next in line to get the offer accepted. And it turns out that it was fraud. They were asking for clients' information, social, phone number, and address. So she felt it was a little weird because she hadn't received an executed RPA, residential purchase agreement. And so she called the agent, and it turns out that it wasn't true. So we have to be very careful, because there's people getting information, trying to get information from us, from our borrowers.
Yeah, but how do they get information?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
They go and say, hey, let me tap the phone. Hey, man, yeah, dude, go.
But the email's even aligned, no?
Right?
The
So
emails
you
Yeah.
have, yes, and that's the detail. The email's aligned. It was the same exact email with the exception
The
of,
listing agent.
I think, a number or something, or I forgot what it was. And so how did they know that person submitted an offer? How did they know that was the escrow? How did they know that was the listing agent? How did they know all of that?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a phone conversation that was tapped? Was it an email that they would go into and access? Is it on the agent side because it's probably everything they received in emails?
Right.
Could it be? I would pinpoint it to the agent, because it couldn't have been the ones who submitted the offer. We didn't have anything on the escrow. So it had to be that agent, and whoever it is, they went through their stuff, and then they said, okay, let's send an email to all of them and tell them, here's the escrow information, make your wire. That only makes sense, right? But how did they get that? So you guys have to protect your internet. What is it? It's like a server, not a server. Yeah, it's a server.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
It has to be,
security. And then if you, maybe she was in a public Wi-Fi sending
Possibly.
out, and so a hacker got in, you always got to use VPN in places like Starbucks, Coffee Bean, things like that. So that could have happened too.
For you Starbucks users, you guys have to be careful. Because once they hack into your stuff, they hack into everything.
Yeah.
That
So-
actually reminds me of when I had my listing in Long Beach. There was this guy that pretended to be a buyer. I was all excited, like, hey, you know. After he kept the conversation just got weird. He was like, "Can you send me your verification on Google, the code?" And I was like, "Why would I send you that? You know, if you're a buyer like me." And he even made because the first conversation, he made an appointment with me. He was like, "Oh yeah, we can meet tomorrow at the property at 1 p.m." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." But then now I started asking him questions like, "Have you ever been pre-qualified?" and all stuff like that, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just wasting my time or his time.
Right.
And then that's when he tells me like, "Yeah, I'll go as long as I'll send you my email as long as you send me the verification code you're getting on your phone." And then that's when I caught on, and I was like, "I know you're trying to scam me."
Yeah. Asking for a verification.
That's what
Yeah.
they do
That's a
on
big.
Up too. They're like, I'm available. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. And they're like, okay, I'm gonna give me your number so I can send you a code. I'm like, what do you
Yeah.
get out of that code? Is it like,
You're
Access.
able to log in
Yeah.
because you
Me
put
too.
forget password, but then Google's like, "Okay, send me the code that will send to your email to make sure that it's you that wants to change your password." Because then they change your password
Once-
and you have no login, and they log into your information.
I didn't even know
And
that.
most of the time, emails have important info, like especially us that we have
Mhm.
email. We have a lot of attachments that have
Client
information.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't know. I wondered why. I'm like, what are they gonna get out of this? Is it a virus or whatever? So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes complete sense. There's so many things going on, right? And I know, Hector, you had an incident with Monica where there's some squatters too, right? And so there's so many ways to take advantage of the legal system too. And I think
Yeah. So they kind of knew what they were doing, because once the property is like a transaction like that and there's nobody inside, once they get inside and have their personal belongings, they're technically tenants, right?
Right.
So you
Without
can't
a
really,
lease agreement.
right? You can't really take them out. So Monica, she had a listing a couple years back where she got a phone call from her sellers, and they're like, "Oh, we see you're renting out the property to these people," and Monica was like, "What are you talking about?" So they end up showing
So
up to
they
the
thought
listing.
she was doing something.
Yeah, so they thought she was doing shady in the background. She ends up pulling up to the listing, and there's this, I think it was a husband and wife staying in the property. They had food, table, bed, and everything.
Wow.
And they're like, wow, what can we do? You know, we can't really call the cops. The cops can't really do anything about it. So what we had to do was she gathered me and my stepdad up, and we had to stay at night in front of the listing. The people, we see them leave. We're like, okay, we got to get in now. We got to take all the stuff out because you have to take the stuff onto the curb. You can't leave it in front of the property or on the property. It has to be on the curb or it's still theirs.
Which city?
Yeah. So it's city, and then we had to change the locks, and then we had to tell the sellers and everything, and then they were just relieved with everything, and then the people never showed back up again, so which is good. But we got lucky in that case. It could be way worse for other people.
Oh yeah.
Did they at least come back to pick up their stuff?
We have no idea. I'm sure they did though. They're probably like, yeah, they got us.
But imagine, and they just go and stay there, and that's what
Yeah.
Carl had a listing like
Yeah.
that, and a husband, wife, and a little kid.
Yeah.
They're staying in the garage, and he's like, I don't know what to do, man. I feel bad. Like they're just occupying the garage, and I'm like, damn. Like,
Yeah.
it feels messed up, right? But at the same time, sometimes some of us put ourselves in that.
Yeah. So if you're gonna show houses or something, make sure you always lock up because you don't want to have that to happen to another person's listing and you be in trouble for that.
Very true.
Yeah.
Ralphie, Vonsky, you guys have any?
I have a listing, and the Department of Water and Power called. It was an 800 number. So they called me and told me that they were trying to get in contact with the borrower, and they keep calling his cell phone, but he wasn't answering. So to me, it was odd because I was like, why are they turning off the power? They wanted to go inside the property because they wanted to turn off the services. Luckily, I was on the phone with the seller, and because the person they were calling was his son-in-law. So once I spoke to the seller, I mentioned, oh, they're calling me from the Water and Power. And they actually gave me a ticket number, a phone number to call back.
Okay.
And so I passed that information to the seller, and the seller spoke to the daughter and the husband, and they said we never placed a call to turn off the services. That they already had before the previous similar experience. They were trying to get information to commit fraud.
How
So
does that help them?
Mhm.
How does that help them?
Because you'll give them access.
you give them access to the property, and they just can go in the property, and I don't know what they were planning to do. So they tried to call that number, and it was invalid.
Yeah.
So we,
Sometimes people are working, so they're probably like, oh, well, they're at work.
yes.
It's doing our job.
And it was like like if they were calling from the Department of Water and Power. They gave
So
everything.
creative that they would use the brain for the right things. They'd probably be very, very successful.
No, literally.
Compared to the stupidity they
Yeah.
do. I mean, we had an incident where we were buying a short sale, being brokers, being experienced, and here we go. Hey, let's go buy this property in Downey next to Warren. Oh, it's a short sale. Oh, they showed us the property. They let us see it. They granted access. So the homeowner, some way, somehow, somebody was involved. Just to let you know that we opened escrow, the name of the fraudulent company, and I'll say it here so people beware, West Coast Realty. Now, there are some legit West Coast Realty, but this one was a West Coast Realty out of Long Beach with the West Coast escrow. We even talked to people. They're like, oh, yeah, this and that. They knew what they were talking about. So it turns out that they got us times 100 people. So $10,000 times 100 is what, $1 million? So a lot of money gone. The FBI sentenced 1 to 7 years, I think, federal prison, and we got 2 more that are getting their sentencing. But they were getting away with this for a long time. They went and got the broker's information that's deceased, right? They can go into the DRE website, and this is where it gets scary, and they can just set up shop, open company and everything, and it's really hard for the DRE to say, well, let me see if you're legit. Why we have the badges that we have is it shows that you're legit, you have a DRE license, stuff like that. But they went and did that, and they got really creative, and they got a bunch of us, investors, other brokers. They had people, even title reps, title rep that we all fell for it. It was legit. It was on the CRMLS. They had access to everything and anything. And you could call them, and they were legit, and they ended up taking us for the money. Now,
So basically, what they were doing, they were accepting offers. So we submitted an offer because it was a good deal. So they accepted our offer. So then we wired the money, but they also accepted 100 other people's offers. And that's how they were able to collect either the 10, 20, whatever deposit they submitted the offer with, that's what they collected.
Good, dude. We even started going. I started driving to Long Beach. I wanted to find them, dude. I wanted to pull their damn faces in. Seriously, dude.
That's crazy.
They were good and they got away with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of scary because, I mean, I think if one of you guys wants to talk about how people pretend to rent places too, right?
Yeah, that too. And right now, with the foreclosures, one of my clients tell me that she was getting scammed too. There's people pretending to be the servicer
Oh my
and asking
God.
to pay
for
them
the payment, the mortgage.
for the
payment.
mortgage payment. Because now on Zillow, it's showing when it's properties on a pre-foreclosure.
Yeah, it
Too
does.
much
So that's where
information.
they're able to like get info from, and then from there they're just calling them and letting them know like, hey, you're behind on your payments, you need to catch on. And obviously, you know, people they start giving them information too as they start asking them questions, and I'm sure that they can get the the servicer name from there, and then from there they just keep it going.
My goodness.
Also, the IRS. I have another colleague that mentioned that someone was trying to collect from someone from the IRS, and she almost wired the funds.
Yeah, the IRS will never text you anything, email you anything, and let alone call you. They'll send you something. A
I
letter.
think the only payment you can do it online when you go to the IRS.
Yeah, they'll send you a letter,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you call them.
Yeah.
So, and I had someone do that too. And I told them, oh, really? Oh, man, where do I give you my information? Please, please, please. I want to give you all my money. Where do I send it to? And they go and click because they know I'm onto them, you know?
Yeah.
And so what happened with her? Did she
No, she didn't know. She wasn't too tech savvy, so she called her niece to let her know, to help her do the wire.
Right.
And then her niece was the one who told him, why are you wiring it? And that's not how it works. And she almost wired it was 12,000.
How about that other day?
Imagine she was tech savvy.
Mm-hmm.
What about
She
the
would've
day-
whined.
The day that you were going to cry. Remember when they called you that you didn't go to
Oh, yes. I wasn't going to cry, but so supposedly the police department called me that I had a warrant to my arrest because I did
For your
not,
arrest.
Huh?
For your arrest.
for my arrest because I did not attend jury duty. So then he gave me his badge number and his information. He was asking me questions.
He was well spoken
And
to.
yes, and he sounded like a cop. So then I asked,
Sound like, hello, yes, Mr. Ball.
and then afterwards I asked Ruben, and I was like, do cops call you? Because I wasn't sure.
Bro,
They were asking for every time you don't attend a jury duty. I think it's like
$10,000.
no, it was like 2,000. So they were asking like 4 or 5. I can't remember the amount. 25.
Oh, when they told you Southgate Police Department.
So he had said Southgate, and then that's when you started researching the phone number. And then I said, well, I'm going to get my attorney involved. And then that's when he said, if you get your attorney involved, then we can't negotiate anything, and automatically we're going to have to arrest you. So then that's when I kind of like click a little when he was saying, I was like, wait. And so I was okay, sorry, I'm going to just give you my attorney's information. And then he was persistent for a little bit, and I kept telling him that I was just going to do a 3-way call with my attorney, and he clicked.
Yeah, because the other 3-way call, I thought you were going to make us to the bank because you look like you're ready to give him
No.
your car and everything. It just seemed that way. But hey,
She was looking through her purse already. Yeah.
So you got to be careful because there's a lot of things going on. They're so slick with all these things. And then what about the properties that are on Zillow?
I'm on Zillow too, but I've also been scammed on Instagram. Realtors pay attention. There's these like it's not a big scam, but you know those cartoon figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, those cartoon. There's people they follow so many realtors and ask them if they want a cartoon figure for your
If I knew you
Instagram.
wanted one, I would have done one and scammed you myself.
So I sent them the Zelle for my cartoon figure
Yeah.
for me to have.
Of yourself?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
after that they like blocked me off Instagram and everything.
And you sell them?
Huh?
You sell them?
Yeah, he sold
I
them.
wanted my cartoon.
That's why she's laughing. That's the only way she
That's
laughs.
funny.
Oh man.
Because
that
he
is-
was so excited. He was wearing the whole day, like, oh my god, I can't wait to see it. And then after he sees that they're not replying anymore, and he's like, I think I got scammed.
Yeah.
What
Did you
about-
get scammed on TikTok
I could
too?
have done it for you.
No, not on
No.
TikTok.
What
For
about
like a
Alexis?
bean
Yeah.
bag, right? No.
Alexis on OfferUp.
Oh.
She got the 2 Disneyland tickets. She's like, I got some bad Disneyland tickets.
Oh.
I'm gonna go park hop and this and
Yeah.
that. I'm like, no way. She was the next day, Dad, that's scam. I go, why? Because they took the tickets back, I guess. They
Mhm.
paid it and then they
You
give them the
cancel-
information
yeah.
it was legit. They
Yeah.
go
Oh.
to the park and they tell them it's no good.
Yeah.
The guy took the ticket back and then I guess got some other ones
Yeah.
and he left it on OfferUp. So I messaged him and I told him I want 20 tickets. And he goes, oh, I have them, this and this. I said, great. Where did I send you all my money?
Hmm.
But then that's it. That's all I heard. So they're figuring things out. It's so damn
Mhm.
creepy. And you see cars too that look really nice and you're like, $5,000. And you're like, please don't get that car. It's just $5,000. It's a nice car. They're crap. And then they tell you, well, I'm overseas. Or I'm overseas.
We can-
Just wire me the money and I'll give you access to the car. And it's
Because
so-
the Tesla's $5,000 cheaper.
But there's so many things. And then on Zillow, my goodness. I mean, I know we have to, we put on the CMLS and it shows on all the websites, but these scammers are going into Zillow.
Yeah, so they get their info on there.
And then they call Raphael and they say, Raphael, you got a lockbox on here. And I'm an agent. Here you go. And goes into the DRE, gives you a number. Raphael doesn't know. Was he going to do a background check on him? No. So Raphael's like, okay, here you go. Here's the lockbox. And the keys to my car. No, I'm just kidding. Here's the lockbox, right? And they go and they see it. And then they're like, oh, hey, Hector, meet me at the property.
Mm.
Like you're interested in renting because they already have it on Craigslist.
Mhm.
Hey, Jackie, meet me at property. So Hector goes at 11:30. She goes at 12. Everybody goes and sees it, right?
Mhm.
Lockbox doesn't send any messages to anyone. Supra does, right?
Mhm.
And so then he goes and says, oh, I like it. I said, okay, just sign this application, wire me the money, 3,000. She'll wire 3,000, she'll wire 3,000, you'll wire 3,000.
Mhm.
Right? And then it's like, fuck, I thought it was legit. They've done it so many times, they almost got someone that works in our office, I won't say her name, but they almost got her too. Right? And so we have to be very careful because we're really nice people. We freaking give them everything, you know what I mean? Because we think that the world is Adam and Eve before they ate the apple, and it's not. You know what I mean? So we're very nice, and it's not that we're dumb. We're gullible because we're nice people. We don't think there's
It's
bad
'cause
people out
We
there.
don't do what we don't expect them to do it because we wouldn't do it. to them.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. And that's where all the innocent comes in. But I had to find out by working with people that I didn't want to work with,
Mhm.
that I didn't find out till after, that I can smell shit a mile away. And pardon my French, but that's the truth. You know what I mean? So in the case that you guys, and look at Lexus finding out the hard way, yesterday with the escrow, that you find out from everybody else, you find out from,
Mhm.
and then you avoid that because they're getting into them, they're taking money, and it's so sad, and they're pretending to be Department of Water and Power and other
Police,
companies.
yeah, police department.
Police, like, dude,
IRS.
what's law enforcement doing to them when they catch them?
Slap on the wrist
Yeah,
sometimes.
dude.
Yeah.
But don't let the poor guy, real estate agent, sell a house where the roof had a leak in it because you're fucking going to jail for 20 years. I'm saying, they're hard on us, but they don't. The real illegit, crooked people, they get away with murder. So I know you experienced other thing. What was it that he said on Instagram?
I thought you got
TikTok?
scammed on TikTok. Maybe I'm talking about a different friend.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No. I use TikTok, I'm not like that.
You?
Yeah.
Nothing else? Just those few
No.
things?
Yeah.
My cousin, they called her to charge her on a collection she had supposedly, and she kind of got scared and was gonna try and like talk to them to send the money. So, 'cause, a lot of people they hear collection, they're like, I don't want it in my credit.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
then she did it, but then before doing that, she called me, and then she was like, because it was more than like 10 years ago, and I'm like, well, usually, information like that deletes after 7 years, no? Or
Yeah, 7.
yeah, so I was like, I think it was just like a scammer.
One of the agents has something like that where they're calling the client and asking for money. I wonder if it's legit. For a second, that happened 14 years ago.
Well, now seconds are coming and starting to collect, so that might be legit.
Legit companies coming out.
Yes,
So
but you just have to
Yeah.
do your research to avoid any scams.
you can Google it, check it out, research it or whatever. I mean, you guys have any advice to everyone out there?
So when they're calling you and you feel that it's legit, go on your computer really quick or on your phone, put them on speaker, and start researching the phone number. There's also scams. There's a lot of scams, internet scams. Be careful what you open on your internet as well, because sometimes they say antivirus and it's not, it's malware. So you have to be careful.
Sounds like you that happened to you.
Huh?
Jackie's laughing at something. What's he telling us?
What?
Tell us,
I
sure.
was just thinking about the illegal websites when it's like
Oh, or the
virus,
movies.
but then you exit out because you want to watch the movie forever.
I thought a different type of website.
Oh,
Yeah, but those open up too.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what?
Wow, me and Hexen, the boys are the innocent ones. We don't know what you're talking
I'm like,
about.
what are you guys talking about?
We don't know what you're talking about.
The ones where you watch the fake movies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like when you go on 1, 2, 3 movies, it always
Sometimes
shows like
that's in a movie,
XXX videos, just in the bottom of the advertising part.
What is
He
that?
said the full name.
I didn't say no. What's that?
you guys are hilarious. But yeah, there's so many. There's so many. Anyways, yeah, I mean, there's people going into stores, getting all the makeup in the carts and running out.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not-
no
No,
one touches.
Also, be careful with the RFID scanners. Every time I go pay, like at a liquor store or 7-Eleven,
Oh,
I always
that's right.
shake
Very true.
the
Shake
part
it.
where you put your card in,
Very
because
true.
they put the plastic one on top. You put your card in, it takes all your information, and then at the end they take it off.
Was at the bank too. when
Yeah,
I
at the
go to
bank
Wells,
too,
and
at the
I move it,
ATMs,
and it's
yeah.
like, and then because there's someone sitting in the car, and you're thinking, what if they're picking up your
Exactly.
because they can pick up your card information.
Right.
Just use
Yeah,
it.
through that
It's
scanner.
so
It's,
sad.
all you gotta do is just put it in, and that's it.
I have no idea how that works. I've never heard of it.
They just, it's like a, so you know you put your card in. So they just make a copy of, like a 3D copy of it, put it on top. Then when you slide your debit card in, it automatically takes your info. You think you're paying, but in reality, they're taking
Yeah.
all your information from you.
Or like when you put your debit card in to pay something, the machine, you could put a plastic cover on top with the chip inside. And when you put your card in, they get all the information. At the end of the day, they just take it back off, and it looks like a normal.
This is why I do contactless pay
This
You
is
get-
why
you
I
can
still
do it
do
on there,
cash.
for everything.
This is why I'm still at cash.
Yeah.
This is why I'm still at cash because they're not giving you fake bills. But we used to get fake bills before. It was like, what the heck? They had a $5 face on a $100 bill. I was like, wow. But they don't do that anymore. They've gotten really sophisticated with in the digital world. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I think as a suggestion before we say bye for this episode, get for credit purposes. I think there's LifeLock.
Yeah.
And then there's Credit Karma where you can just monitor your credit and get an order.
Or you can get the free credit at the free the FTC.
Yeah.
Under FTC, and if anything's wrong there, contact us. We'll help you remove it. If it's illegal, we'll help you remove it.
Yeah.
There's some affidavits and a bunch of different things we can do.
I've heard my FICO. It's good. You do have to pay for it though, but for those for those type of people that don't know much about credit, it teaches you
Yeah.
about
So it could
credit
be worth it.
on there.
I know some bank branches too allow you to see your credit for free on
Chase.
on your app, like Chase. I know Wells Fargo does. I'm not too sure about the other ones, but do your research. You can see your credit score for free on there, and they monitor your purchases. with
Any other
credit.
suggestions?
Yeah, just be aware of like Amazon text saying that you made a purchase, things like that. That's a big scam right now too.
Yeah, I can know that.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, I know Yvonne's ready to go. She's got to use the restroom. No, I'm kidding. But Lexus and Kay are not here today because they're all playing volleyball 1-on-1 and the beach somewhere. And is it the Bahamas where Jackie was at for like 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How-
they're out-
how-
I let
was
them
the-
borrow my Airbnb.
So they're out and about, but we want to share this information, keep you guys alert, and just be careful out there. It's a crazy world, but hey, you know what? Under God, we're all protected. So with that being said, my name is Ruben.
Ralphie here.
Yvonne.
Hector.
Jackie.
Bye guys.
Bye guys.
See you
Thank
guys
you.
next week. Thank you.